So you're probably wondering why I'm speaking a little quieter and why the truck is running. Reason for that is this is kind of the last of the pre-season prep videos that we're going to be doing here, and then we're on to new topics that I've actually shot some videos here, was able to shoot some videos here this week on the farm. This one here is in regards to a tip that I've done, a strategy that I've done for years. This goes back to my days in Illinois guiding, and you know, I wish I would have learned this years ago back in Michigan on the family farm or the property. And the reason for that is so what we're going to talk about today is I'm out filling the feeders. I'm actually topping some things off, get some last minute to-dos done. I've got some trimming to do on a stand that I wasn't able to do the other day because of the rain. So what we're doing today, we're getting the feeders filled, like I said, and the tip of today's video, that last season preparation, is changing the mindset, putting the mindset into more of a inner season mindset. So with that, what I mean is going into the farms, being less invasive. Obviously, hopefully all your tree stands should be trimmed out. Like me, I'm right to the bitter end down here. But if you're pulling into these farms, one of the tips that I can share with you, like I said, you have to pull into the farm. Obviously, we're not internal of the farm. We're not in bedding areas. We're not being invasive. We're out here filling feeders. We're out here doing food plot work. I've got some more food plot work that's going to be coming down the road here in September. Going to be sowing in some rye, and I'm actually going to top dress some more radish, I think, on my plots. But the moral of the story is, so one of the best ways to keep this intrusion to a minimum, especially in farm country, is just what we're doing right now. You can hear the truck running in the background, and that is a tool that I've used for years. Like I said, ATVs, UTVs, going in and out of stands. If you have to do some trimming, like we're going to do today, some shooting lanes or some final trail prep or whatever the case is, pull up to the stand or close to the stand, or like this would be, you know, on the edge of the. You can see where one of my transitions comes out, the corridor right there. There's a stand just below, down in there, a very active stand. And so anytime that I'm working on this stuff, you leave the truck running, you leave the ATV running. As you can tell right here, I've done a bunch of doe bedding work, hinge cutting. This whole section right through here is hinge cut. Next year it'll be more. I've got more that I've done up here on the edge that you can see around the backside there. That's some edge feathering that I've placed the does on the food plot, and I can guarantee you I would be willing to, without a very reasonable doubt, to say that there's deer bedded right there right now. And the reason I say this is when you collect your trail cameras, your pictures later, they're here within hours, and they're not that far away. Now, if we came in here and you go to do these now earlier in the year, early in the summer, is it such a big deal? No, it's not. But when that velvet starts to shed and when the season kicks off, you're not the only one in the area applying pressure. Pressure comes in all different forms. Pressure comes in the form of hunting, obviously, but it also comes, you know, hiking in the woods, looking for that last minute stand location. If you're on public ground, other folks being invasive. So it's just not your movements that we're trying to disguise. And like I said, the best way that I've found over the years is by doing just this. So I'll take you back. Years ago, we had an area, and if you're one of the guys watching this, that this will resonate with, we had a farm called the Hog Lot down in Illinois, and it was a bottom set-aside portion of a dynamite piece of property, maybe one of the best properties in the country. And we always went in there when we had to move stands late in the fall, that final prep stuff, or during the season when we were in there for clients moving tree stands. A good friend of mine and I went in there, and we always kept the machines running. We always pulled up closest that we could to the stand, like we were saying. If you can't get right to it, leave the machine on the field edge. If you're just going in, the closest you can get that machine, the better, or the truck, leave it running. And it puts the attention onto the vehicle. So what we would do down there is we would leave it running, we would do the changes that we needed changed, and we would leave. Well, what maybe a firm believer is down there, you're obviously, in such as, you know, Kentucky, there's a lot of portions of the country that you're tuning in from, you know, all over the whitetail range. You're dealing with mature deer mentality. You're not dealing with these does that we're talking about, these resident does that I can guarantee you that are in here, laying in here right now, looking and listening for what we're doing, and not being disturbed. You're dealing with the mentality of a buck that knows when that key goes off, it's game on. So, you know, when we first started that down there, a kid coming right from Michigan, I can still remember this, working with a friend of mine that had been there for years, that was born and raised in Illinois. I went in there, and one of the first things I did is shut the four-wheeler off, and he was like, hey, you know, we need to leave that running. So we started leaving it running. Very soon after that, what I found is when we were in there hanging stands, we had multiple near Boone and Crockett. I did have a Booner one day as I was moving a stand in October. He was in the stand, I was on the ground. The deer was 50 yards from us, laying in the atop a blowdown, and we did what we had to do at the stand location, and we got out of there, and the deer was still there when we left. Now, I'm a firm believer, if I would have shut that key off, that deer would have been gone. He would have known that what the plan of attack is, and the gig would have been up. So, just a little tip here that you know, the final preparation, not only the aspect of leaving trucks running or leaving ATVs running, UTVs on the side of plots or near stands, if you have to do something, if you have to go in, you know, the other step is just changing your mindset. The moral of this video, I guess, is changing the mindset. I'm here to tell you that most folks around the country, most properties around the country, don't get treated like that. And it's the first step that causes the lulls. So as we've talked before, those of you that are tuning in that have an October 1st opener, you will experience an October lull. It's a myth to what most people think that the lull is, but the lull is pressure. So we open up the 4th of September. So by the 13th or the 15th of September, the state of Kentucky will be going through a lull. It has nothing to do with the weather, it has everything to do with the pressure. So if you're the property owners, if you're the husband and wife team, you know, father and son team tuning into this and you're watching this, if you can do little steps like this, it will set you apart from the neighbor that's not doing it. It sounds trivial, it sounds simple, but it's not done. And like I said, it's something that I feel very strongly about. I'm 2 days away from our opener. Do I have plans to come in here opening day and hunt in the morning and be in the stand just because it's opening day? Separate video, but no, I don't. But I also know from last night's cool temperatures that things are changing, mindset's changing, velvet's starting to thin up down here, already coming off in some of the northern and midwestern states. A lot of it is, it's in us early. I don't have any hardhorn pictures down here yet, but it's coming. The velvet is very thin, and the mindset has changed. Now, luckily, I had daylight pictures yesterday, and I had daylight pictures of the 3-year-olds here. I don't have we're building a hit list slowly. There's some deer in the area. Neighbors have been seeing some new deer pop up on cameras. So we are going to be the farm in the area that applies low pressure and takes ourselves out of the equation, which I think this is one of the properties in the past that hasn't had that because of stand locations that I found and how they were getting in and out of those stand locations to hunt. So it's taking the extra step, going the extra mile, doing something that somebody isn't doing. So separate video, but what we're going to talk about is I've got a stand, actually it's right up in that double maple set, and yes, it's on a food source. It's on one of my bands that takes the deer from the one draw to the other, but it's a stand that most folks would walk through the entire farm to get to it on an evening sit and walk back through there at dark to get out. We're going to talk about that in another video. Simple situations just like that there. How do you prolong that? How do you not be invasive just before or during season. And this is one of those tricks. If you have to go in, like I said, if you're doing food plot work, obviously you're going to be doing something with the ATVs or the UTVs or the tractor or maybe even the truck, and it's going to be running anyway. But I highly recommend checking trail cameras. I've got cameras set right here on the feeders, and I've got cameras, 2 or 3 that I can grab that are on the field edges, right where the stand locations are. They got to drive by. That if I have to, I'm going to check them with the truck running, or the ATV, or the side-by-side, my Polaris Ranger running. The other cards won't get checked until we hunt the stand. Now is the time not to be invasive, not going in and doing that. Video coming here. We're also going to shoot. I've shot some of it. We're going to finish it on the whole trail camera situation, and where that's got us in today's world. But this step right here, like I said, is as goofy as it sounds. As much as maybe you even heard about it through talking, through just deer camp talk, if you will, it'll shock you how much this isn't done. So anytime I fill these feeders, anytime I check these cameras, anytime that I'm on the farm now during the fall, if I do bring somebody out, or a neighbor or a client's here helping me, or whatever the case is, or somebody's in hunting with me and I've got to go inside of the farm like this, that truck's going to stay running, or the UTVs are going to stay running. And it focuses attention on there. It takes the attention off yourself. Sometimes, like I said, it's just that little piece of the puzzle, doing something different that maybe nobody else is. Season's here. We're the South is in season. There's some western states that are chasing elk and deer out west, and the Midwest and folks back home in Michigan, hang in there. You're only 30 days away. So take this one to heart. Just remember, not only the truck's running, but just put yourself into that preseason mindset, such as the deer do when they put themselves into the season mindset. They totally change, and I'm a firm believer that we should change as well.